Woohoo! Hi guys.
Hello, welcome.
Hello. Hi everybody. Welcome. We are back for a daytime episode. Look at us go.
Daytime episode.
So today is episode 45. So this is kind of cool. We're approaching that 50 mark. So
We are.
exciting. Woo woo. Okay, so last week, episode 44, we talked about ownership, we talked about accountability, we talked about looking inside yourself for the things that you need and the things that you can take responsibility for. So we figured that today we could expand on that a little bit and talk about how that could apply to things like your job, your areas of your life that you dedicate a lot of time to, spreading yourself out a little too thin, and kind of build on some of the things that we talked about last episode.
So, what do you think when we're talking about? Because I know we've done an episode about burnout. So, I think in this episode, it's more of, my mind went to business, but even when I just heard you check in, it's like people, we all have jobs too, right?
Hmm.
And roles in our life. And it's how do you think, or why do you think people struggle and burn themselves out?
Okay, I think it's coming from a lot of different factors. One, the fact that our culture is just so go, go, go. You never have a break. There's always this struggle to be on top of things, to be the best, to be like a front runner and a shark about everything. And there's that like societal pressure to do things just so and just right in the way that you want to. But then also, I think that it's just a pride thing for some people. Like, hey, I built this business or I built this job or this career myself and nobody helped me. And, we get into that martyrdom, right? Like, I don't ask for help. I don't need help. I did it by myself. But then you burn out because you're not able to delegate and trust people to come into your circle and take ownership over things that are yours. So I think that's hard. I mean, I know that you and I have both grown and struggled with that to some extent, but, it is necessary.
Right. I think people get caught up and don't evaluate their life, if that makes sense. I think a lot of the burnout stuff is a lot of people go heavy and hard. Like when I think about a career, I get it. I think I always go to jobs and career because it's one that people talk about that's hard because it's financial
Yeah.
and financial stuff is survival for people, right? Like I need to do this, I need to work this many hours, blah, blah, blah. And what I call it is you're not setting yourself up for the life you want to live too. And that causes burnout. It's like I'm just working either to survive or I'm just working because that's what I do. And so like I think a
Hmm.
lot of people struggle with the self-awareness of looking at aspects of their life and like what is most important to them. So it makes me just think about a client I had
Hmm.
years ago and business guy, super successful lawyer, had multiple firms, but like he would always be like, don't have a relationship with my kids. Me and my wife are maybe going to get a divorce. She wants to
Hmm.
go to couples therapy. Didn't he? He's like, his whole thing is like, but I'm the provider, but I'm the provider. Like, so stressed about being the provider. But I'm like, is that the most important thing in your life though? Like, how is this the life you want to live where you're so stuck in one part of your life and burning out and not liking it, but you're wired to be like, I have to, I have to, I have to. That
Yeah.
other aspects of your life are falling apart so much that the whole reality of your life isn't actually what you want it to be. And I think people
Right.
have a hard time letting that go and figuring out that balance of how can I have a little bit of it all? And I
Hmm.
think our society puts a lot of pressure on that, right? You business owners, if you want to be the best of the best, you're comparing yourself to all these millionaires online who are like, don't eat,
Yeah.
don't sleep. The hustle and grind mentality of the United States is like if you want to be the best of the best, you grind hard every day, all day, you don't sleep. And
True.
like it's like maybe if that's genuinely the life you want to live.
Hmm.
But most people are doing it and then not checking in like I think it's can be good for a season of your life, but then people
Hmm.
fall into it's now their whole life and they don't say 5 years from now, maybe my life has changed a little bit and I need to reevaluate my relationship with my work and my career and how can I shift it.
Right. Well, as you're talking, I think of a lot of things, and number one is what you just said, where when you ask people, tell me about yourself, they tell you what they do. They don't tell you about who they are as a person. And I think that we get very caught up in like, well, I'm an attorney, I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher, I'm a this, I'm a plumber, I'm an electrician. Okay, yeah, you are that. But strip that away. Let's say you lose your job. Who are you? Right? So that's part of it too, that we need to find an identity beyond our job and beyond our education and all that kind of stuff. Because at the end of the day, like if you can't de identify with those things, how can you find happiness and meaning in your life? Who are you when you're not working? If you're a workaholic, okay, well, I work all the time. So that's part of it. And you will burn out because then you're really burning the candles from both ends. There's no time for yourself, there's no time for enjoyment, for nurturing yourself as a person and growing. But the other thing is, we have this tendency as people who are driven or high achievers to live life like stepwise. Like, okay, I'm going to put my career first, and I'm not going to have fun. I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to have my friends because in 5 years I'll have my degree. In 10 years I'll have the job that I want. So let me just hustle and get there, and then I can have fun. But you look back, okay, well now my 20s are gone. Now I'm in my 30s, and I didn't travel. I didn't do XYZ things. And now I really can't because now I'm in my job and I can't take the time to do those things. So I think that nurtures burnout too. Because here, like, well, you saw part of your life just go away and you're never going to get that time back. So, how do we teach people it's okay to have your goals and to put those things as a priority, but you have to carve out pockets of time for yourself and for the things that are also meaningful and fun and lighthearted and like whimsical in your life. That's not just this hustle and grind all the time.
As soon as you said that, it made me think about what I do it in my own life, but I tell couples this in couples counseling.
Hmm.
If you ask a couple to schedule a meeting, usually I had this happen last week. I'm like, "Do you guys have your monthly meetings like we talk about?" "Oh, no." And I'm like, "Okay, why?" "Because we're just too busy." And I'm like, and I think the same. When I started scheduling my meetings with Ronald, I was like, we have to find time because it's unfair that I'm booking appointments with clients, booking my appointments to go get my nail done, booking, like I have all this time and I find this time for everything else, but I'm not finding time to say, hey, for 1 hour once a month, can we sit down and just be like, how is our relationship doing? And when couples are like, we don't have time, I'm like, I feel the same with like the burnout stuff. Like, how
Yeah.
come we can put all these clients and all this business stuff on our schedule, our kids, other
Yeah.
people, but we can't pencil in like, what do I need this month for me to feel balanced in my life? Like maybe I don't need to, book another work thing or something with my friend or anything. I have that Friday off. Let me pencil in 2 hours just for me time or to do
Hmm.
something fun for myself. And people are so against that because it's like, wait, that then I'm not going to reach the goal I want, or I'm not going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And so it's like so hard to get people to schedule times for just themselves or their relationship, which is crazy because it's the two most important things in your life, which is
Right.
wild. Why do you
Yeah.
think it's so hard to do what I just said for people?
That's such a great question. I think I have a different perspective of that as a mom because I always come like last. And that's just the nature of being a parent, right? You have your work responsibilities, you have home responsibilities, you have pets, you have kids, you've got all the things that come with those things. And then it's like, okay, well, now I have me, right? But I've also learned how to do it. So I think, in my personal opinion and my experience, you realize at some point when you're at rock bottom that you can't perform in all the areas that you need to if you are not taken care of. So you can literally not pour from an empty cup. And like that's so cliche to say, but it's true. So why is it hard? Well, because it feels silly. Like rather than do a spreadsheet, I'm going to go get my nails done. Rather than see another work meeting on my schedule, I'm going to go to the beach for an hour. Why does that feel? It feels selfish. It feels like a waste of time because we're in that mindset of if you're not productive, you're wasting time. And from a therapy perspective, we approach that differently, I think, than most professions because it's not a waste of time to invest in yourself. And I like to use the word invest because that's what it is. It's an investment of time for your business, but it's an investment of time in your mental health. And I just had a session this morning with a client that was like, I literally don't have any time to like have fun. So we worked on some things about like, okay, well, what would that mean for you, right? Does that mean I have to have time to go party? Not necessarily. Could fun mean that you are taking 10 minutes and doing something that you don't normally do for yourself? Does that mean stopping somewhere and getting lunch where normally you would pack it for yourself? Does that mean having like an extra treat during the week or treating yourself to an hour of a show? Like, whatever that could look like to make it work for you is an investment of time. Take a day off sometimes. Like, it is okay to do that. It's okay to take a half day off. Like, these are the things that will help you build that habit. But, you have, just like you schedule, and you and I are both good at this, and we do it with our clients too. Take your little schedule and pencil in time for yourself. Like, you have an hour, find an hour. That could look like get in your bed and rot between Zoom meetings,
Right.
That 100% could be that. But you have to get into the mindset of it's okay not to be cranking out work every existing moment of your life.
Right. And I think it's interesting what you said because I'm not negating that seasons of your life change. So other seasons are different, right? So as soon as you mentioned, like, yeah, you're a mom, you have three kids. So it's totally different than my life. I don't have kids. I have other things going on, right? Other responsibilities. So it's like pick your poison. I do think kids are different because, you know, you're literally keeping little people alive. So it's like a different mindset. But it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting because like seeing a whole bunch of moms as clients through the years too, and it's literally the little thing. It's like I understand when you have a newborn, like it is like accepting like this is gonna suck for a while, and I know I'm not gonna have the time that I ideally want, but it's how can I maybe get a little? What
Yeah.
is a little bit of time for me right now that might be
Hmm.
feasible? Like it might be, hey, I'm not sleeping at all, so it might be, hey, one of my friends or a person, one a family member, yes, watches my baby for a half hour so I can just like literally close my eyes. So, and now it might look different, right? You have older kids and it's like, how do you accept where you are, but also like, what is, I don't think people actually look at what can I actually maybe possibly try to put into this season of my life. And no,
Right.
it's going to be different. Like, it is going to be different when your kids are more independent, right? You're like, they can occupy themselves. So maybe I can sneak away and drink my tea and sit here and just be like, they're playing.
Right.
But it's consciously sitting down with yourself to be like, what is my life looking right now? And what do I think is feasible? And a lot of times people don't slow down to consider it. So then you do
Hmm.
just go, 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 go. I don't have
Yeah.
time. I can't do that. And so people aren't willing to see what are my possibilities to try to help myself.
Right.
Because
And I
you're
think,
not wrong. It's accepting
yeah.
where you are when you say that. Like, let's be
Yeah.
realistic. People that have 4 or 5 kids are like, when do you want me to have time for myself?
Sure.
Like,
Right.
I don't know. I'm not asking for an hour. Maybe it is that 2 minutes that you walked to the bathroom and started crying because you were like, fuck these kids, right? Like, and
Yeah.
if it's 2 minutes right now, hopefully in the future, in
It'll be
weeks,
10.
months from now, it's 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think when you're talking, what I also hear is yes, we are in a mindset of everything just has to be what it is, but we're also so influenced, I feel like, by this media and this content of like wallowing in how stressful everything is all the time. So like how are you supposed to get into a positive mindset of fostering boundaries with your time, for example, when it's like, oh, well, I'm a medical student and I literally have no time and I'm drinking coffee to stay alive and I'm a parent and life just sucks, If you're getting fed this narrative all the time where you are never going to be a priority, your time is never going to be a priority, we're never taught, and I think that this should be something in schooling and in training and apprenticeships and all that kind of stuff of like, what is your framework? What's your guidelines for your boundaries with your work and life balance? And it really, I think I've had two pivotal moments in my life where I recognized that this is okay and it's healthy to do that. Obviously, before I became a parent, but the first was remember we had to write our theoretical framework in grad school? Do you remember that? So that was like, and I talk about this all the time because I feel like it was really important for me to see that it was okay to write what I wanted and what I believe in and what I need on paper. And as a provider and as a professional, I was like, hey, I can have a say in this. I can have an opinion on that. And that was really important for me. But then going into my next graduate program, my mentor was like, she had such beautiful work life balance and she had kids and she was a kick ass researcher and a teacher and a
Yeah.
mentor and a department head and was working out and like she was amazing. And that's something I aspired to because when I met her, she was like, "Yeah, I don't answer emails after 6:30 p.m. Like you're
Boundary.
not going to hear back from me, right? And I don't answer emails before 8 in the morning." Like amazing, right?
Love.
And she was so successful. So for me to see that, like I that really stuck with me, especially as my life circumstances changed, to be like work-life balance is important. And you cannot be killing yourself. Like you have to learn how to say no. And the first time, I think I talked about this in another episode. The first time I ever said no to a project in grad school, I was shaking in my boots to say no.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, I'll find somebody else to do it. It's fine. Whatever.
Hmm.
Go along your merry way. And it was so hard for me. Why? Because you feel like you turning something down or saying no is not acceptable. It makes you lesser than, it makes you a low performer. It makes you not like, okay, well, this is my front runner on our team. So it's stronger to say no. It's stronger to recognize, like, I can't give you 100% on three things when I have eight. I can't. I physically can't do it. And then you're like, oh, well, I missed five deadlines. Well, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, of course you did because you committed to more than you have space for. So,
Right.
that's the type of thing that if you don't learn it through experiences like those, you just don't learn it. The
Right.
point of all these counselors and career counselors and mentors and whatever, like part of their job should be like, what can you do? What do you
Right.
not feel comfortable doing? What is your life demand at home? Obviously within reason, and same thing with building a business, which you and I have both done.
Hmm.
Um, okay, there are going to be things that you have to put bumpers on. How many clients can I see in a day without burning out? How many people do I need to see to not be financially stressed? Like, what is my flexibility? Can I let a client come in 30 minutes too late at night when it's really not ideal for me? Am I willing to do that? If you're not, okay, you're not.
Right. I think the hard part of that is everyone's different. So I
Yeah.
feel like so sad because there's like, there's all these pressure voices that people have, like, because there is that comparison factor. But
Hmm.
like, why that comparison factor causes burnout is what works for you is not going to work for me. The life I want to live is different than you. We might have similarities and whatever, but it's, and even when you mentioned clients, that was like a huge part of my thing when I got really busy in my practice before I expanded. I was like, it's the only reason I expanded because I was like seeing a whole bunch of clients and I didn't know my threshold of how many I could take on. And I was taking on too many, but then that was my learning curve of like, why am I not enjoying what I do anymore?
Right.
I feel like I'm really good, but I'm burning out. And then actually I did well. I cut my clients a little bit and was like, wow, I feel better. So it was like that learning thing. I feel better. And then now I know if I go beyond this amount, I don't enjoy what I do. So then that's my cap right now. And then I remember it was another learning curve. I had the same amount of clients that I started feeling good with for a while. And then I started getting burnt out a little bit again. And I talked to two other therapists who I love. And we were having a little meeting and I was like, just venting to them about some clients that were hard. And there was one client that I had on my schedule that I was like, guys, I don't know why, but like I dread when this client comes. And they
Yeah.
were like, why? And I was like, he's heavy in addiction.
Hmm.
I think like it's just draining for me. And then the next thing you know, this is what therapy does for us too. Because of course I had two therapist friends that were like talking to me and they were like, well, and I was like, I'm really good at treating addiction. Like I have the confidence in it, but addiction's hard for multiple reasons. And you don't see somebody get better quickly. You know that there's a relapse period. I was like, there's such an exhaustion that comes with a client of like watching them suffer. And then
Yeah.
it as a therapist, that's hard to watch. It's like, and then I have addiction in my past relationships and my history with my family. So
Yeah.
all that stuff comes up. So this one session with him sometimes feels like I saw six people. And then she goes, have you ever thought about not seeing him? And I was like, well, I can't do that. And she was like, sounds like you can. And I was like, but my mind was like, I'm really good at this though, and I know he has a good connection with me, and I know he trusts me. I know I could eventually help him, but at what cost to myself? That's exactly what they said. At what cost to your
Yeah.
career, you enjoying it?
Right.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it, huh? I was like, this is the issue. And that's my boundary now for myself. Like, I don't take on
Yeah.
heavy addiction clients anymore because I'm like, as soon as I was like honest with him and I was like, I think you need more help than what I can offer you. I love you, but blah, 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 blah. It was like the next time I didn't have him on my schedule, I was like, wow, like I'm so
Yeah.
enjoying this. It's not because it
Yeah.
was him, it was just everything that it brought up for me.
Was
It's
a
a
lot.
learning curve, you know? And I think even that slowing down for them to ask you those questions, which is a therapeutic process, is why we like therapy. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I didn't realize the reasons why I was so stuck on this client. It was like my own stuff. Like, I want to help him so bad. I want to fix him. Like, I know I can do it, but like, I'm exhausted. So I'm not
Right.
checking in with how much it's exhausting me. Is it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of
Yeah.
times, like another person can be like, no, I love addiction. That's my specialty. Like, it gives me energy. And you're like,
Not
to each
me.
their own. You
Yeah.
know? I think
Right.
that's an example in like all of our lives when we do a comparison of like to each their own. Like,
Mm-hmm.
some person might be able to, my cousin does this. My cousin has like a billion businesses. And I watch him do it and I'm like, how do you do it? But like, he's just that person that and he's pretty balanced. He
Mm-hmm.
has a great family, and that's just his thing, but it's so natural. Everything comes fast to him. He's just always been a business guy,
Yeah.
and he seems happy with it. But I'm like, I would never want to be on a flight every week, and I would never want to, but that he loves it, and that's his life, and it's been his life. But again, would I want to live that life? Do I think it's cool? Would I want to own a whole bunch of businesses and all this stuff? You have to, I think there's a disconnect between what people want and the
Mm-hmm.
life that comes with it.
Yeah.
So if you don't check in with yourself, like what kind of life am I willing to live, then I don't
Mm-hmm.
really think it's gonna help you with any type of burnout.
Yeah. So, I agree with that 100%. We have, obviously, when you're in that hustle culture, you can't have a long view a lot of the time because you're just surviving day to day. You're just trying to get through this chapter, this week, this month, this deadline, this semester, right? But as you were talking, how did you deal with that level of like dread and burnout and not liking what you did? Because there has to be self care that came through that period of every time you saw difficult clients, every time you were like, wow, I hate my job. You know, how did you take care of yourself until you set that boundary? Because that's where I think a lot of people get tripped up. So I want to hear what you have to say about that, and then I'll tell you my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was talking about it, and I realized I knew that was kind of the issue because that was the sessions where I felt like I had to come home and be like, damn, I had a lot of emotion come up today, and like I would talk to my boyfriend about it, and he's like, how was your day? And I'm like, oh my God, babe, like I'm just struggling. Like I have so much sadness that comes up every time. Like, and I had to have my own processing, which sometimes, doing what we do for a living, sometimes I do. A lot of times I don't, depending on what happens. But it was like every time I was like, nope, this is just part of my thing now. Every time I see this client, I know I need like to kind of talk really quickly about it to be like, it hurts me.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me. Like I sometimes he would come in and I would just be like, I want to cry. So I definitely like leaned and had support around that, and I would talk to even the other therapists about it. And for me, I think the lifestyle I have set up, which is I am gonna consider it pretty balanced, is I always, me, in my calendar. It doesn't even matter. There's been seasons of my life where right now I feel like I'm probably the busiest I've ever been, but it seems more manageable because I figured it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But before, when I haven't figured it out, it was like everything felt chaotic. And that's why I text you usually at the beginning of the month, like, hey, what weekends are you free?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not, of course, it's me wanting to hang out with you, but it's also me knowing I need it for me. So
Right.
I'm like, because I'm going to see all these clients, have all these business meetings, do this during my weeks, how am I going to set up my weekend so I have good connections and I have energy and I have time to deal with all the stress that the week comes with? So I like
Yeah.
always put in my calendar, like, and I did this a few years ago before I started even booking more with friends. I do practice what I preach. So I would have in my calendar, like I have it, like I'm seeing, looking at it right now. Like this Sunday, it literally says, relax, Alessia. Like,
Yeah.
so that way, if anybody's like, hey, you want to go out drinking or you want to go do this? I'm like, actually, I have something on my calendar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, no, you're not going to go out of town today. You're not willing to drive to Tampa today because as much as you want to do it, you're probably the way I usually look at my calendar. I'm like, I already have events Friday and Saturday, so I know my Sunday I'm going to need like rest. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna make good food, and then I'll see how I feel, Which I used to not do that. I used to just be like, "Hey, you want to come over Sunday? Yep. Hey, you want to do this? Yep." And then my week would feel a lot more burnt out. So when I did have a hard client or clients, it was
Mhm.
like I'm more exhausted because as much as my weekend was fun, it still was a lot of energy, so I'm not prepared. So those are like I would say the tools. Obviously, I exercise and like doing self-care to just take care of my own body and mind are
Yeah.
important. But I would say those are main things that I implemented in the last, I would say, 3 years because I was personally doing too much.
Yeah.
And not even just around or a lot around work, but around like saying yes to everybody for everything. So I was always on the move, and that was fun for a while until it wasn't.
Right. And, I think what you're pointing out is the need for our favorite word, boundaries, right? You need to be able to advocate for yourself, whether that means you need rest or you need more time or you need less time, whatever. But I think where many people get tripped up is you kill yourself all day to work or pour yourself in your business or your job or whatever it is, and you're feeling really exhausted by the end of the day, but then you're not willing to go to bed early. You're not willing to cut your day short because you've had a long day. It's like, well, this is my time now. This is my free time. So what happens? You work a 9 to 5, or if you own your own business, it could be an 8 to 7, right? Like that happens with us too. I mean, you never know. But then, okay, now I want to shower. I still need to have dinner. I need to take care of my pets, my kids, my whatever. And I want to lay in bed and watch a show. So now it's 11:30 and you have to get up again at 6 in the morning. You're never going to get that balance when you're not willing to sacrifice some things. And that's been hard for me, admittedly, because of all those excuses I just gave. I worked a long day and then I picked up my kids and then I made them dinner and they got in bed and some of them were struggling. I took a shower and it's 9:30 and I just want to watch an episode of a show and it's 11 by the time I'm like, okay, well, I guess I should go to bed. So I've been getting better at allocating, okay, well, my episode of my show comes out on Wednesday, so I'm going to leave it till Thursday because Wednesday I have too much going on or whatever
Hmm.
that can look like. And, I enjoy it more because I've
Right.
put it on my calendar, episode two, whatever. And it's been like setting those limits because I know that Wednesdays are go, go, go from the minute I get up.
Hmm.
So that's not going to be a day that I stay up late, And yeah, okay, oh, I'm so old because I go to bed at 8 o'clock or 8:30, but I need that sometimes, and that's hard, a hard place to get to. But a lot of people are not willing to. They see it as, well, I'm reducing my me time. But
Right.
you're investing in yourself in a different way because you're allowing rest or you're allowing your do not disturb to kick on and you mean it.
Right. I
That's
mean,
the
it's interesting that you're saying that because part of the reason, even when I think about like my boundaries for myself, I was like, yeah, that's why in the last few years, like I'm like, I don't even want to go out and drink and I don't want to do this because my mindset's like I'm just a person who thrives off of being up early, even if it's the weekend. I
hmm
like being up. I just
Yeah.
don't like to be in bed. Whatever, to each their own. But I'm like, you know what? I hate when my routine gets messed up because I go out for a night and then I get convinced to be out till 2 in the morning.
Right.
And then it's like, fine, even if I'm sober, it's still like during the week I'm in bed by 10 o'clock and now I'm out at 2 and then I don't fall asleep. And then my whole day is messed up the next day. And I'm very much like, I'm going out this week and I'm like, guys, can we make sure we go out at 6 so I can make sure I'm home before midnight? Like,
hmm
that's why, because I'm like, I want to
Yeah.
make sure I'm at home, in bed, chilling. So to prepare myself for the next day, so I have energy for the next day. And that's something I used to not do. I'm like, I can run on no sleep. It's fine. Like I can stay out till 2 and I'll still wake up and go to the gym at 6. And now I'm running on 4 hours of sleep because what?
Yeah.
Because I'm an idiot and I don't know how to put a boundary on myself.
Right.
But I think that comes with different ages and phases too, for sure.
Sure.
But I
Yeah.
think you're right. Like people, you have to really what am I doing and am I okay with what I'm doing? And a lot of people aren't because you're like, hey, if I don't stay out with my friends, I have FOMO and I'm going to miss out on the fun. So I'm going to stay out. And that was me for a long time. I'm like, I'm not going to say no because I want to go hang out with them. And then Wednesday hits and I'm like, wow, all of my weekend of running around nonstop and not sleeping is now hurting me. So when I do have a hard client, now I hate
Yeah.
everything because I literally am at zero because
Yeah.
I didn't take care of myself when I had the chance to,
Right.
which is hard, which is hard.
100%. I want to make sure that we talk about delegating tasks because I think that this is a huge part of burnout. Be above and beyond taking care of yourself and investing your time in yourself and making sure that you have all the fun and the things that you need, right? Why is it so difficult to let somebody else take charge of something on your plate? Doesn't necessarily have to be work. It could be something else, right? That you ask your friend to just chip in and help you with, or a family member to chip in. Why is that so hard? And why do people not accept that it has to be done until they hit critical mass and they're like, I need somebody to help me and I don't want them to because I feel guilty? Why?
I think I went to two different things. I think the first thing that came to my mind was I think a lot of our histories, especially I would say, I'm going to say our culture in the sense of like United States, because we're very hyper independent, especially now, even women, right? So
Yeah.
we're all like, trying so hard to be this independent, we don't need anybody at all. And like the more you don't need somebody, it's like praised in our culture. Like you did it all by yourself. Like you didn't ask for help. Like, look, she can do everything by herself. He does everything by himself. And so I think there's this praise, especially like when you think about young kids growing up, there's like this praise, like, oh, wow, you did everything by yourself and you didn't need to ask me for help. That's awesome. It's like sticker. And so I think we're programmed when we get older to be like asking for help is this bad things. We should be able to do everything by ourselves, which is not at all reality. One. And two, I think the second part is definitely like it came up because this is definitely something I've struggled with and I have a lot of, it goes into business, but I think it can go in all aspects of our life. I think when you're a highly responsible person, you want all the control. And so as much as you're like, I know my soul wants and I want and need help, it's like really anxiety producing to be like, let this person do it. Because what if they don't do it the way I would or I want it done? And so, I hear that a lot with business owners who are like when I hired my admin and my first admin was my cousin and he's like the shit, right? And I was like, I trust him with my life. But I was even like trying to micromanage him when I'm like, he knows all the tech stuff. He knows everything better than me. But I was still like, well, what if this happens? And make sure you do. And he was like, stop. Like, I got it. Like, but obviously, because I had a relationship with him, it was different. But even my admin now, like sometimes I'll be like, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, let's breathe. Like, I got it. And I'm like, okay, that's my old stuff coming up where I feel like, hold on. Do you guys need me to take the reins? Because
Mhm.
I'm worried it's not going to be how I need it to be. And so
Right.
I think a lot of us struggle with letting go of control because we fear that it won't end up the way we want. And the more we can have control, which causes us to have anxiety though, the more we can have control of it, the more we think it's going to be the way we want it to be. And then the
Hmm.
reality is, as soon as I delegate, and I think a lot of people realize this, especially people I hang out with in business world, they're like, as soon as you delegate something and you realize, like, my gosh, like this person's just doing it, you're like, why didn't I do this a long time ago? Like, my life is so much easier. But like
Yeah.
accepting help and accepting that people can do it and get it done is like very hard for us to believe.
Agree. Yeah, I think so, especially if you have a standard for yourself. It can be hard to envision that someone else would meet the expectations the same way as you, even if it's not done the right way. And I think that just like being around little kids so much has taught me this lesson in a weird way because I've like sometimes will tell the girls like, "Oh, go upstairs and get your shoes." Or I'll be like, "Run up and get your shoes." And they'll be like, "I'm not going to run up the stairs," very literal. And I'm like, "I literally don't care how you get there. Just get your shoes and come downstairs." And so sometimes it's funny because I'll step back and be like, "Yeah, I guess why are you harping on the how as long as it gets done?" So I think the same thing. I've learned that just as it was like a eureka moment one day where sometimes you don't need the 90 step thing to get you to an easy place. You can have someone do something for you or help you out, and it may not be exactly, you might be tearing your hair out. I can't stand to see it done that way, whatever it is, but it gets done. So it's okay, it is okay. So I think that's maybe part of it, just being okay with that. It's the same thing, oh, the kids want to help me make breakfast or dinner sometimes. And I'm like, oh my God, but it's going to take twice as long if I have them helping me, which is part of the purpose of kids is to slow you down. And I understand that, but it's not compatible with life. It's not compatible with this hustle and go. We're constantly on the move. We're in a hurry all the time. But, sometimes it makes me feel guilty sometimes because they'll just be like, oh, can I help you with that? And in my head, I'm like, no.
No.
No, I don't need help with this because I got it and I'm almost done. And if I let you pull up a stool and help me, we're gonna be so slow, and I'm gonna have to explain it to you when we're already running late today. But sometimes I force myself to be like, okay, you want to help with this, bring up a chair. It's good for them, it's good for me too. But you're in that mentality. That's just
Right.
the way we are, that everything has to be on a
Get
schedule,
done.
quick and done, get done, let's just move on. And that's
Mhm.
not, you don't have the energy to keep that up for a long time. So you're like,
Right.
yeah, it's a sprint and it should be a marathon to get things done.
And I think that's when you mention that it's like the balance I would assume of parenting, right? Because you're like,
Hmm.
I can't do this all the time. I can't there's days where no, I don't have time to show you. But then there's like you have to be conscious of the my kid deserves this too because this is their learning process and this is they're not in a rush. I think kids are like the coolest thing because they're present, right?
Yeah,
They're in the here and now and they're like, why are we so rushed? And they're just
yeah,
like, I'm just sitting in this moment about to make a cookie. And you're like, I have so much shit to do after this cookie. And they
yeah,
have no concept of the world. So you're like, wow, I'm taking away like these moments for them to be actually present and enjoy it
right.
because I'm so worried about just doing life stuff that needs done that they don't understand yet. And so
Yeah,
I do think it's really interesting. One of my other clients said exactly what you said. She's like, I always feel like the devil because she has four kids. And she's like, I just sometimes am like depleted and we're about to have dinner. And then she's like, one of them starts to be like, I'm gonna make this. And she's like, I will be in the background, like, just fucking do it, just let me fucking do it. Because I just want it to
yeah,
be done. And then she's like, I remind myself, like, do not take this experience from them right now. She's like, it is the hardest thing, especially when you're in a mood where you're like, I just am tired and I want to get this over with. And how do you, again, that's that burnout balance too of like, where are
yeah,
you at as a mother to be like, maybe I have a little bit of energy just to have a little bit of patience for this today. And maybe there's other days where, let's be realistic, you're like, today's not the fucking day. Today's not the day. So I think it's just hard. It's really just trying to meet yourself where you are. I think is the main principle of a lot of the burnout stuff is the biggest advice I can get
yeah,
is exactly what I said at the beginning of like all stages and phases of your life. You have to eventually sit down with yourself and be like, I do this all the time. I'm like, how is my life right now? Like, what am I
yeah.
liking? What am I not liking? Or I use my boyfriend a lot because when I started some business stuff, I remember he mentioned one of our meetings. He was like, I just am worried that this is going to take up X amount of time and we already struggle with time together. And I was like, I put that in the back of my mind whenever I started planning stuff. I'm like, you can't
Yeah,
let this get in the middle of your relationship. So how do you be conscious of communicating with him so you guys make time? But if he wouldn't have said that, I probably would have been like, blah, 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 like, I'm in it.
right.
But it was like a slowdown for me to be like, I have to keep checking in month to month with myself and him. Like, do I still feel balanced? Do I feel like I'm doing too much of this? And the reality is, most people do not do that check in.
No,
So,
no. So, I mean, we could go on forever, honestly, because there's so many things that contribute to this. And a big part of getting out of that burnout is being willing to be real with yourself about what's going right, what's going wrong, where you need support, and how do you get out of that like day to day monotony that's really just draining and depleting. So,
so all of you people who are burnt out or feeling a little burnt out, I hope you check in with yourself to at least try to be curious of what do I think I could implement to make things a little bit lighter, even if you have to start with baby steps.
yeah, for sure. So we would love to hear from you guys if you have ways that you've worked through burnout or if you're feeling it in your own life right now, some things that we can maybe give you tips and tricks or suggestions and ways that you support yourself. So please share, leave us comments, and we would love to talk to you and figure out how to work through it.
Because we all
We all have lots of stuff. So, okay, guys, well, we will see you next time. Thanks for being here.